Hey everyone, it's your professional sarcastic man and seeker of attention, Chris here, back again with another comic book story time, what I've read during the week. This has been a very DC heavy week. The only couple Marvel stuff I have yet to finish reading are the last volume of Slott's She-Hulk run and Amazing Spider-Man: Kraven's Last Hunt. I just wanna take my time and finish reading through a lot of my DC stuff first before I finish off my Marvel, and I'll be getting some more stuff. Hopefully later on this week, probably a new comic book day. So first off, I'll start with is the new Teen Titans Volume 7. Now this one contains the famous Judas Contract storyline. There we go. And what can I say? It's quite an interesting story, despite the fact that it's kind of obvious that it was going to happen. Like, if you've read New Teen Titans, it once Terra is a member, it builds up to her eventual betrayal. But the thing about this is that made it so kind of well known, or as Hidden Xperia would say, iconic, is had the debut of Dick Grayson's Nightwing, and we had the debut of Jericho, Deathstroke's second son. And it was interesting. It was a very interesting storyline to read through. It I think it took it was about half of this volume is the Judas Contract, and then the rest is the kind of fallout, having to deal with the remainder of Hive. And what I especially liked is Changeling, aka Beast Boy, during this story arc is having to come to terms that the girl that he has feelings for has betrayed them, and he doesn't want to accept that it is true. Even when it's revealed, he just doesn't straight up accept it. He just believes it's all a lie. Like even here, it's like you're wrong. Terminator did something, used hypnosis or something. He can't get over his feelings for Terra, and just can't accept that the woman that he's kind of fallen in love with is a villain. And I really like that, because I believe it's in this, it shows him going over the edge, kind of his way of overcoming the information he's discovered, and his way of dealing with what has happened. He kind of goes over the edge. He starts attacking and using more violent approaches when dealing with criminals, and I really enjoy that, because it's interesting to see characters kind of out of their personality range, out of their depth. Beast Boy is a very kind of, he's always cracking a joke. He's the class clown of the Teen Titans, and it was an interesting approach to take with him after this, and it worked well, because it just constantly set up that he likes Terra, and Terra just absolutely doesn't stand him, because she hates everyone except for she pretty much hates everyone. So it was an interesting dynamic to do with Beast Boy, and absolute recommend. This is definitely an essential for the Teen Titans. it's a story that is, would I say reference? Kind of, it's always brought up. Like they did a kind of sequel to it called the Lazarus Contract between Titans and Teen Titans, and as an obvious kind of nod to this. So yeah, definitely recommend. Whoops, there we go. Next one is the 8th volume of the new Teen Titans, and has the wedding of Donna Troy. Now, not knowing that much about Teen Titans before I started this series, I had no idea that Donna Troy was actually married. I think but the thing with Donna is that she constantly has her origin changed, so it's never really the same. I think in the current Titans she's supposed to be with Roy Harper. So this is kind of it was a kind of almost break after the whole Judas Contract storyline. Trying to make it more kind of happy and light with, Donna's wedding coming up, and I appreciated that. But tying back into Judas Contract, the story I definitely liked was whole Deathstroke's trial, and Beast Boy kind of getting his vengeance, which is sorry, I think I'm sick. And I'm just trying to find the page. Yeah, this whole setup between them having their kind of final confrontation with each other. I say final, I don't know. I don't know if they confront each other again after this, but it served as a great way as Beast Boy kind of letting go of his feelings, letting go of the past, and just accepting. Oh man, today's bad. I'm losing my words. It's kind of Beast Boy just yeah, pretty much. He's just he's letting go of the past. He's learning to move on. That he's just accepting that he was betrayed, and he kind of takes the, not really the high road, but Slade understands this. Understands that he's just full of hatred. Beast Boy wants to kill him, and he talks him out of it. And pretty much it's kind of, he's teaching, Deathstroke is teaching him a lesson that he shouldn't drive his friends away, that no matter what's happened, they're always there for him, which is kind of an interesting thing with Deathstroke, because he always works alone, except for some cases, but he always works alone. He's always the solo assassin by himself. So it's interesting, an absolute killer is telling Beast Boy that take your head out of the arse. You have people there who are supporting you, and they will help you with this. They're suffering as well, and they just want to be there for you. And yep, absolute recommend. And continuing the Teen Titan trend, this is the last of the Teen Titan trend. I picked up Teen Titans Silver Age Volume 1, so Teen Titans from the very, very beginning. Which I always find interesting with, whenever I read something from the very beginning, because sometimes I'm with a lot of the classics, I'm very out of order. So with, for example, Green Lantern Rebirth was the first Green Lantern story I read. And then but to everyone that's just there's a whole lot of lore and story established before that I completely missed. Luckily it summarized parts of it, but I missed a whole lot. So within Green Lantern's the next one, I'll be going back to the Silver Age. I think I have the Hal Jordan trade they did recently, where, or maybe it's the, well, either one. I'll be picking up either one, either way, the Hal Jordan or the Silver Age trades anyway. And as before, this is definitely it was a very interesting story. It's just going back to a time where everything was just kind of classic, just adventure stories. It wasn't, not everything had to be in peril. Nothing was like very dramatic. like with them being in the Titans now, it's all very story drama driven, because, well, you know, they spread everything out for like between like 4 to 6 issues for a story arc, so you can't really have anything quick. So it's a nice change to have something that's condensed to one issue, sometimes two. I know they have like sometimes like 2-parters or 3-parters, but it was definitely fun. It was like, it's very weird to see kind of like a lot of dated material. Like, I think like how they got together was they were going to a town where like adults were fighting teenagers, like over like curfews, or to like have their own kind of government or something. It's just like, yeah, this is really weird. Like, you wouldn't really have something like this kind of happen. It just seemed like a really weird like scenario, and like I'd enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing like a product of a different age. It's very interesting to read. Absolute recommend if you want to get started with the Teen Titans. Start with the beginning. Start right here. It's only about $30 American. I paid an extra $7.50 in Australian. Okay, now to start the Flash trend. I'll lay them all out. There was all of it is DC, half is Teen Titans, the rest is Flash. So first up is book 3 in The Flash by Jeff Johns. Sorry. He was definitely one of my favorite writers. Like I said, first comic I ever properly read was Green Lantern Rebirth, which was by Jeff Johns and drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. And I just anything that Jeff Johns has written, I'll pick it up definitely. Like, I plan to get that that JSA Stars and Stripes, the series that kind of catapulted like Jeff Johns into like comic book stardom. Like, as soon as my LCS like put it online that they restocked, and it's like, okay, I have to get this. But I think the first one I'm going to get is, I need to get the 4th book of this one, because I want to have the complete collection that my LCS has available. Okay, so for this, for Green Lantern or Flash, I'm always a sucker for those stories. Like give me any Green Lantern or Flash story, whatever, regardless of what it is, I'll definitely read it. And I quite enjoyed this, and I definitely enjoyed the and liked the introduction of Zoom. And he always has like with a lot of kind of villains, I always look for the motive when it comes to villains, like what makes them interesting about them as villain. Not, it's okay to have like the generic like, oh, I'm gonna cause chaos, or I want to take over the world, but what I like about Zoom is his motive. He wants to make Wally better. Like, he thinks that Wally can become a better superhero if he suffers more tragedies. Kind of like Barry. Barry's mother was killed. his father was in prison. I think his wife to be at the time was almost killed, and he had to kill Reverse Flash, which in turn resulted in Barry going on trial. So there's probably other stuff, but at least he suffered 5 different tragedies. Well, technically about 3 if you merge the last 2 with the third one. So about 3 to 5 tragedies, and that made him kind of a better hero. He learned from his mistakes, and with Zoom he thinks like, well, I can be Wally's Reverse Flash, and I can make him better, because I suffered through tragedies. They made me better to an extent. So I can do the same thing to Wally and make him a better superhero, and see that my way of thinking is actually right. Because the whole point of Zolomon becoming Zoom is that he wanted Wally to go back in time and prevent him from losing the ability to walk. But Wally didn't want to. He said, time travel has consequences. Like, I don't want to mess with it. And just Zolomon just like absolutely just like couldn't forgive him for that. Like, it's like, I'm your friend, and I've suffered, and you have the ability to go back, and you don't want to. And he thinks that's selfish, well, a bit selfish, but he just doesn't understand that everything has consequences. And as shown with Zolomon, with his powers, it creates kind of fractures or holes in time that show like moments in history which were, like, spoiler, which were used against him. Because that was his greatest weakness, is that a moment in his past, a tragedy that he went through, is his greatest weakness. Definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, a sucker for anything Geoff Johns has done. Would definitely recommend. Part 2 in the Flash. The Flash section is the Silver Age Flash. So Barry Allen from the very, very beginning. And like with everything, like I said, with anything old or the like real classics, it's very interesting to see them like from the very beginning. As I'll say with like these two, I'll finish them up with these two. So I've been reading. I finished Flash Volume 1, and now I'm currently on Flash Volume 2. So, oh, sorry. So it's very interesting to see Barry from the very beginning, seeing a lot of his villains from the very beginning. Especially Grodd, because from everything I see of Grodd, he's just like this. He's just like a giant, like, kind of like, what would I say, almost just like a rage machine. He's just very furious. He's like, he epitomizes the, not epitomizes, he kind of, he portrays like, kind of like, the wrath of a, gorilla. Like, every time like Grodd is drawn, he's always drawn as like very furious or angry. And in this one, he's like, he looks humble. And he's saying, I think that's Grodd. Yeah, that's Grodd. Yeah, he just looks humble. Like, it's really weird to see Grodd humble. And same with yeah, it's also just interesting to see the beginning of of Barry's infamous Rogues Gallery, like before they became the Rogues, obviously. So I finished that one, definitely recommended. So like I said, I'm currently on this one. I just finished reading the famous Flash of Two Worlds story arc, and like thinking back on it, it's, to an extent, it's kind of like DC Rebirth, but how would I phrase this? because there was the golden age of comics. So you had Jay Garrick's Flash, you had Alan Scott's Green Lantern, you had these slightly different versions of Batman, Superman. You had the whole Justice Society, and then all of a sudden they just got rid of them, replaced them with essentially just the same Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, but you gave other characters like the Flash and Green Lantern, etc., like different identities and different costumes, and although the powers were same, they were slightly different. And I would have imagined in that time that it would have been something similar to New 52, where people were just like longtime fans of like the Golden Age were not happy about it. Like I always say with the New 52, while it gained some fans, it lost the older fans that didn't like the changes. So imagine something like that would have happened between like the Golden and the Silver Age, and the Flash of Two Worlds was kind of the small, like it's like their equivalent of DC Rebirth. Is kind of like, hey, we're sorry we got rid of this stuff. We'll bring it back. Like, we're not going to get rid of like what we're doing now, but we'll bring it back as like kind of an apology. Because with Flash of Two Worlds, it established that there's a multiverse in the DC comics, and that all of the history of the Golden Age didn't just cease to exist. It just moved to Earth 2. So, you know, that was like, after reading that, I just had that thought. It's like, yeah, they're like, Flash of Two Worlds was like a proto like DC Rebirth, like subjectively or to an extent, it's a proto DC Rebirth. So that's it for my comic book story time. What I've read during the week. I'm a pretty big reader. Like, seeing like how like thick a lot of these are. Like, usually this, like, I originally started this like a while ago, and I just never got to it because it just felt really long to me. And once I read like a lot of the other older comics, are just like, yeah, like, I don't know what I was complaining about. This is actually like quite an easy read if I put my mind to it. So, oops. A bit of a neat freak. So that's it for the video. I'm sorry, despite the fact English is my first language, I'm stumbling with words nowadays. So that's it for the video. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share this video, I'd appreciate that. Like, yeah, we need more like comic book reviews nowadays, and we need less of the drama, more of actual like talking about comic books and some actual reviews, and kind of I'll look back on the past and like where a lot of this started, where a lot of people say this is the good stuff, like, well, depending on who you meet, but a lot of people would say like, this is the good stuff, this is where it all began, this is where memories were made. And follow me on Twitter, that should be it. Yep, that's it for the review, and I'll see you all next time.